What's up, Cy? How's it going, man?
Andrew, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am fantastic. I have been on a creative streak these past few months now. I'm building my YouTube channel, and what's it called? Action and Go-Go is back up and running again too. So I've been posting mostly reviews of all the MCU Marvel films that have come out this year, including most recently Spider-Man: No Way Home. Check that one out. You, Andrew, everybody, all of our viewers out there, one of the best films of the year. 10 out of
Yeah,
10.
really.
Yes.
And then I didn't. I'm sorry, I'm a little behind the eight ball on this one. Who's in that again?
What's it called? Tom Holland, English actor. He plays Spider-Man. Zendaya, she's like model slash actress, and also all the villains from the previous Spider-Man franchises, the ones with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. You know, the villains like Willem Dafoe, Platoon, baby.
Okay,
Jamie Foxx, Alfred Molina. Oh man, it's a star-studded affair.
awesome, dude. I'll have to check that one out. And you also started this new podcast, right? The 301 Color Commentators. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, me and my friend Anthony, who he and I have been friends since middle school. What's it called? We decided we wanted to start our own podcast, and in coming up with a name, we realized we're both pro wrestling fans. Let's make it a pun out of that, as well as tell everybody where we're from. But we don't want to use DMV; that's too common. So we decided to use our area code, and then we realized, wait a minute, what are the announcers, the play-by-play announcers in pro wrestling called? Color commentators. Right, let's call ourselves that. Then we're like, let's add a twist. The colored commentators, because we're both black.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a nice play on words, man. And I'm sure it's great. I'll have to check it out. But
yeah, we got our first episode already up and running.
nice. And what'd you guys do that on?
We did 4 topics. Well, 3 technically. I mean, our format is first thing we talk about is the current music we're listening to. It can be old or new. Okay. And we talked about the director's cut of Rocky IV that was released in November, which we don't recommend anybody view at all, even hardcore Rocky fans. The pro wrestling, we talked about the Montreal Screwjob involving Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels. And lastly, we talked about that Netflix series, You, the psychological thriller / dark satire.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. And so are you guys planning on doing any like type of album reviews or anything, or it's just kind of everything?
Everything really. We like to dissect pop culture. I mean, we have a knack for it just as much as you and I do, Andrew.
Nice. I'll have to be a guest at some point and discuss some films or maybe some albums as well.
Oh, definitely. We plan on having guests on in the future too, and not just colored folks.
Awesome. Well, hey man, let's get into this soundtrack, man. This is an awesome soundtrack, awesome film, by the way. I mean, Michael Mann, we've covered a bunch of his films. Ali, we did Manhunter. Yes. And now this will be the third one that we're doing.
The third one, yes it is. Michael Mann, he's one of my favorite directors. Let me tell you, the guy knows how to tell a story, and he even writes a lot of his own films too, and it translates well because he knows exactly how he wants to bring his vision to life.
Yeah, and it's so realistic, man. Like he comes from I think one of his first films was like a
Thief.
That was like one of his more first feature film, but he did this documentary. It's not really well known. It's called Insurrection. It was about like French riots back in the I think it was like the 70s. And I think I see a lot of that in his films, right? Like the realistic, like he really does his homework on the topic that he's going to cover, right? Like Last of the Mohicans, for example, that film is like so historically rich and realistic. I feel like, and I mean, like this film too, Heat, with the gunfire, the firearms and the trade craft with the bank heist and everything, man. Just the dialogue, like everything is just awesome in this flick.
Even now, if you listen to the gunfire in Heat, it sounds so realistic. It's like, I wish I could have seen this in the theater. I mean, I caught it months after it dropped out of the theater and it was on pay-per-view, because my parents, they were big. They were heavy into actors and films like that, which got me into it too. So throughout my household, them talking about, we get to see Pacino and De Niro on screen together for the first time. I didn't think much of it until years later when I learned more about the two. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a momentous occasion. Yeah, a friend of mine even said that the scene where they're both talking to each other in the coffee shop, my friend of mine said, eat the ketchup, the bottle of ketchup right between them, that should be a museum item.
Yeah, it's just so I don't know, man. It's so it's epic. The two, Titans, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, first film that they're actually like in a scene together.
Yeah, they actually have screen time together. Yeah, because before that was 21 years before that in The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they really didn't have any scenes together. It was just
none.
kind of they were in the same movie, but
they did plenty of the promo shots together, though. It's like you see a young Michael Corleone with a young Vito Corleone right behind him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's just, I mean, for them to be even in that film, which is such an amazing sequel to, of course, the epic Godfather, the first movie, but even the second one, and then to bring in a powerhouse like Robert De Niro, along with Al Pacino and what's his name, the guy who played Fredo, John
Cazale.
Cazale, yeah. I mean, who was just a phenomenal actor as well. And Al Pacino just had an amazing respect for him. So as an actor.
I do too. And Pacino during the 70s, that man got slept on left and right. I mean, he was nominated damn near every year for an Oscar during that decade. And it took him 20 years for him to finally get one. Son of a Woman, Best Actor.
Yeah. I mean, and think about it, like, Martin Scorsese too. How long did it take him? I mean, no, he's not an actor, but I mean, another titan in a similar genre, right? And directing, but it took him forever to win.
He didn't even win nothing for Goodfellas. I mean, he got it for The Departed, which was a good film, which is really good. But it's like, have y'all seen his earlier work? It's like y'all should have gave him something for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he won it for Departed. I feel like he had so many other different good films.
He did.
Yeah. So anyways, it is what it is, but hey, this film, I mean, amazing cast, right?
Like a
Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, Ashley Judd. I mean, it's just an ensemble. Tom Sizemore, Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. Danny Trejo, who essentially plays himself, right?
Yeah, yeah. They didn't even give him a first name, just Trejo.
Trejo, yeah.
Kevin Gage.
Yeah, Kevin Gage that plays Waingro. John Voight as Nate. I mean, Wes Studi, who actually plays a good guy in this movie.
The only thing I remember him from, aside from Poltergeist Part 2, was that abysmal Street Fighter film that came out the same year as this.
Oh yeah,
he was Sagat.
Yeah, Sagat. And then of course Ted Levine, who played the infamous Buffalo Bill. Yeah, he was Mike Bosco in this film. So I always like kind of whenever I see him on screen, I always think of Buffalo Bill though, just with his voice.
So do I. Yeah. That. Oh wait. Was he a great big fat person?
Yeah. 30. Was it like 30 seconds with Ted Levine and Buffalo Bill? You can find or in Silence of the Lambs rather. That's funny.
And Jeremy Piven, he was in this film too.
Yeah. He plays a young Ari Gold, right?
Young Ari Gold, Tom Noonan, he's here too. Yeah.
He was that guy
Kelso.
Kelso, but he was in Last Action Hero too, right? Like,
he was the Ripper.
Yeah, the Ripper. Yeah,
and he was in Manhunter. He was a killer, Francis Dollarhide.
Yeah, so an amazing cast. I mean, all realistic, all great performances.
A-game.
And let's get into this first track here.
Let's get it.
All right, so this is essentially used in the title sequence. It's called Heat. It's by a group called Kronos Quartet, which is a string quartet based out of San Francisco, and their lineup actually changes. It rotates, but an epic group, really well known. And I mean, this is actually it's probably in my top 3 songs of this whole soundtrack, just because I can listen to it and it just like always makes me think of this movie, but it's like so intense with this scene when the train's pulling in to the train station and we first see like Neil McCauley as a character.
Yeah, because we don't know what he's about really. So it's a lot of mystery during that opening scene. It's like he gets off the subway, he's walking towards somewhere, and then it plays all throughout. He walks to a hospital. It's like, is this due to EMT or something?
Yeah.
And then he
that's what
finally
you think, right? You're like, you don't even know what is he doing here, right? Like, is he an ambulance driver? Who knows? Like, and there's also an intensity to it, the way they mix that sound. You hear that freight train kind of coming through, and it's like, right? Like, this guy's a force to be reckoned with. And some trivia here with this scene is it's actually the ending scene for Collateral.
Really?
Yeah. So when the last scene in Collateral with Jamie Foxx shoots Tom Cruise, his character, they pull into that train station, and that's actually where Heat starts.
Oh, wow. So they're connected.
Yeah. It's like these two films are connected. It's pretty cool.
Well, that's dope. I did not know that. That's testament to how good of a director Michael Mann is.
Yeah. And I mean, he was on a roll for like a while, man. He hit like Michael Mann did like Mohicans. He did Heat, The Insider.
The Insider
was Collateral. I mean, Miami Vice, I think was good. I mean, it was a little slow, but it was pretty good.
His creation of the TV show, that was better than the movie, I thought.
Yeah, yeah. I think
that was innovative as hell. I mean, what they did with music in there, style trends. They even popularized 5 o'clock shadows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so many different, well-known actors that were in that show that just like kind of randomly have appearances there.
Like their first acting jobs, like Ed O'Neill, Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Edward James Olmos. Like, I mean,
Castillo with that stare.
Yeah, he's got that death stare. Yeah, this is an amazing track. It has like, everything, it's kind of a roller coaster of emotions. It's like suspense in the beginning, and then, you have the freight train come in, and then it has that kind of intensity that builds up. And it's also played in the first, heist scene, the armored car.
Oh yeah,
scene.
It is.
Where they knock over the armored car and they get in there and steal the bearer bonds, and then of course Wangro screws up everything.
That shit took planning, though. It's like, wow. It's like, that's what you got the ambulance for. That's what he's in that pickup truck for. It's like, and you got Trejo like following the armored car, doing communications with them, telling them how far back they need to be. It's like, good God, Neil McCauley, him and all his dudes must have been military trained.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely, that's where I was going back to, right? Like in the beginning is where he just really focuses on the realism, the training that they did. They all trained with like ex-SAS, like, firearms instructors and special forces guys. And even that shootout that we'll get to eventually, the bank heist shootout, that was all built to scale, and their tactics were all SAS, like special forces tactics.
Yeah, we'll get to a bit of trivia about that when we get to that scene and the music behind that one too. There's some funny bits about that one.
Yeah. So this next track, we'll jump into it. Passengers, It's Always Forever Now. Did not know that this was actually U2, their band. They were known under this like pseudonym. So it was like the rest of, I believe it was like the rest of U2, and then Brian Eno, who has a couple of tracks on this soundtrack as well. But yeah, the song's called Always Forever Now.
He was on the Any Given Sunday soundtrack too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have forgot.
Oh, my bad. That wasn't him. That was Traffic I was thinking of. Moby, he was on the Any Given Sunday soundtrack.
Okay. Yeah. But this song it's played when Hannah essentially pulls into the parking lot in that the club parking lot. He walks into the club. He kind of was messing with the security guard. He's like, "Give me all your money." And he's like,
put the gun to his back. Yeah. The finger to his back.
Yeah. And it's cool. I mean, it's kind of like this real fast, like beat kind of, it's got like this kind of, I don't know, jazzy kind of tempo and techno kind of tempo to it.
It goes with Hannah because he's all over the place. In fact, the behind the scenes rumor was the reason why Pacino acts so crazy as Hannah is because Hannah's supposed to be on coke.
Yeah, that's what they said. Like his coke was, or excuse me, his character rather, was supposed to be like, that's what Michael Mann told him how he kind of told him to act. He was like, kind of just be all over the place, sporadic and just unpredictable. So,
throws criminals off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the whole, give me all you got.
Yeah,
Give me all you got. That
that
scene.
scene. But yeah, so yeah, I can't believe that though. You too, right? That's
I didn't know that neither. Yeah, I didn't know they went by a pseudonym either. Passengers.
Yeah,
Something else.
Yeah, that's some other trivia there. And then we go to the next track when he actually goes into the club. They open up the doors. He's walking into the club, and him being a detective, police officer, he walks around the metal detector. I kind of always like that. Just like, it's just funny to me. And then you hear House of Pain in the background, and the song is Top of the Morning to you.
And of course, it's already morning. It's 2 a.m. there.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also, the drinking aspect of that, where he's having a drink, after he talks to Albert and Richard. He's up in like this like office area, which is like, it's kind of crazy because there's all these like different pictures of jazz players. And I think there's a picture of like Malcolm X there too. Like,
it's very multicultural kind of club job. Like,
yeah. But I like it because like I like how Michael Mann just like will infuse all these different genres of music into the scene, right? Like, and it's like 90s, right? I mean, you hear it, like, House of Pain is very like 90s.
Very 90s, yeah. Like, I mean, their most well-known song was Jump Around, but I guess Michael Mann wanted to be different and use another single, and it works. It works considering the time of night that it is, and what's it called, and his eclecticism with music too. I mean, you remember how he did what's it called in the very first episode of Miami Vice, Phil Collins in the Air Tonight, how he used it in the scene where Tubbs and Crockett are driving towards their destination with their guns.
Yeah,
often deemed as as the best TV scene ever.
Yeah, I love that. Like what they have the Ferrari Daytona.
Oh yeah,
black Ferrari Daytona convertible, and they're driving, and you see like the lights reflecting off the front of the hood, and like wheel shots. I just love the ambiance and the vibe. It's so cool.
Oh, it is so cool.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think this song it works. I mean, it works real well, and I think the title is very fitting of the scene or following scenes, and then you have this next one, which is kind of, I don't even know how to pronounce this artist.
Einsturzende, Neubauten.
Yeah, so I'm assuming they're
close
German.
enough.
Yeah,
a German, Austrian, something.
Yeah, and the song is called Armenia, and it's played in a couple of different scenes in the movie. The first time we see it was it is played where Macaulay spots Charlene having an affair with Hank Azaria's character, Alan Marciano. They're at a hotel, and he sees like Azaria walk out of the hotel room. And I think, I think Macaulay was just concerned because he's like, hey, we may have like, she may rat on us, right? Like, or like, he doesn't really know who this person is.
Right. I mean, he doesn't
FBI agent, or it could be somebody, a cop, like who knows?
Right. And what's it called? Based on the conversation he had with Chris, what's it called? He was so certain that Charlene wasn't cheating on him, but Neil was like, let me find out.
Yeah. And I think that was what he was trying to find out. I don't think he cared as much about the cheating, more of like the integrity of the crew. Like
he needs Chris's head on straight. Yeah. Pretty much.
So he like, busts open the door. I like, he pushes like the maid cart there. So she thinks it's like a maid. Then he like kicks open the door.
Just gets in her face like, look at me.
That guy? I like how he like repeats it. Like, who was that guy?
De Niro, he's in the habit of repeating himself. Travis Bickle, you talking to me? You talking to me?
Yeah. But you hear the song in the background. It's kind of like a very sad, like keyboard kind of, sample, but it works. I mean, cause it's kind of a sad scene. Like, cause that Chris loves Charlene so much, and then she's, cheating on him.
But then again, it's kind of Chris's fault. I mean, he is, but from his actions, he's basically a grown child, pretty much a child who's still growing, just like Charlene describes him. But then again, look at her. I mean, you're messing around in your husband who doesn't even cheat on you.
Yeah. So it's fitting. And there's a lot of these type of songs, like instrumental songs in this soundtrack, but I think they elevate the movie, right? And they just work so well with
they add to it. They're part of the story itself. They're part of the narrative. You take it out, you take a big chunk of the narrative out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that was the same way kind of in Manhunter. You had these kind of scenes or songs rather that really elevated the scenes. But we go to our next track here. That's Terje Rypdal. I hope I pronounced that.
Yeah, all these European electronic artists. Yeah, they got. Oh, this is a guitar instrumental. My bad.
Yeah, he's a guitar player. Terje Rypdal. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And the song's called Last Night, and this is a really awesome guitar track.
Was this on the scene where Neil is first at Edie's house, or the second time?
It's the first time. So like this is when like they they hook up for the first time, but they're on the balcony and they're it's like that amazing like cinematography like scene where they're looking out on the city and he's talking about how it looks like in Fiji. He's like they have these like iridescent algae, like that's what he says. And it's an amazing scene.
They talk about their families. Yeah,
they talk about their families, and you get the impression Neil's not kind of a straight edge guy. He's got this other life of crime, but he kind of kind of runs around the question and is a little vague about his family. But
I mean, he is kind of a little bit, and like but he's letting himself be vulnerable because he kind of likes this chick.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what he's really about yet, but he does kind of like her, and she busted past his walls that he has up, even among his crew that he has up among them.
Yeah. So he kind of goes against his own advice, right? It's like,
yes. Yeah. If you feel the heat around the corner, never let yourself get attached to anything that you can't leave in 30 seconds flat. If you feel the heat around the corner.
Yep, exactly. But I love this track. It really reminds me of like David Gilmour, like from Pink Floyd, where he does he does those type of instrumental tracks, guitar tracks they're really good and just add a lot of atmosphere. So, and it illuminates that romantic connection between Edie and Neil.
Funny you mentioned David Gilmour, because there's another track on the soundtrack that sounds something like a Pink Floyd instrumental. We'll get to it soon. But for now, it's like that's a good pickup that you found. Yeah, a comparison to David Gilmour with this track right here, and it also reminded me of one of the tracks in Manhunter as well too. The track where William Peterson as Will Graham is like looking outside the window, like, just you and me now, sport.
Yeah.
Just us.
I'm blanking who
Michal, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, this next one too, I really like this next track. It is by Michael Brook. It's called Ultramarine. It's one of my favorites. It's like really instrumentally, if you kind of geek out on the song and the instruments, and you listen to it, the bass guitar in this song is just so sick. It's like the picking and the deafening of the strings to get this kind of funky sound to it. Just works really well.
He did the score for that Christian Bale, Mark Wahlberg film, The Fighter, didn't he?
The Fighter, yeah.
Okay, he did, yeah. Okay, I recognize the name.
Yeah, he's a Canadian composer. He's done some pretty big films. He did Mission Impossible 2, Into the Wild.
Dope.
But yeah, this song is great. I love it because the first time you see this song, he's like, I think he's getting into the car, like his police car, and he's like peeling out of the parking lot. It's after they lose the trail on Neil. It's later in the film, but he's just like so pissed, and I'm just, I could see myself I've been in that spot myself, not the same exact circumstances, but like, when you get in your car after work or something and you peel out, like, you just kind of, you feel for the guy. You're like, I've been there.
I've been there too. It's like either you're pissed or you got something to do, but it's like Neil, he's frustrated. It's like, Neil, where are you going? It's like,
I'm out of here.
He just walks out.
Yeah. He's like, bon voyage.
Bon voyage, motherfucker.
You were good.
He ad-libbed that. He had to.
Yeah. And then he drives out onto the street and kicks the
TV out.
He kicks the TV out onto the street. Everybody's like, what the hell? Like, they're looking at him.
Even the scene where he even took the TV, it's like, what's it called? You don't mind your wife cheating on you, but you draw the line at the guy she's cheating on you with about watching your television? What the hell?
It's almost like that scene in True Detective, where Marty gets mad at Rustin Cole about the
I
mowing
like
the lawn.
mowing my lawn. And I would have told him, then you should mow it more often then.
So yeah, it was it's a great song. The title, I like the song, or excuse me, I like the title rather. It's Ultramarine. Fits well with with Hannah, who's a Marine. You find that out with that discussion under the bridge with Nate and Macaulay in the car.
Getting him intel.
He pulls out the dossier on Hannah, and he's like, he's a Marine. The guy's a fucking maniac, man.
Like, what the fuck you think he likes doing all day sitting around? No. And the vice sergeant says, this Hannah, he likes you. You do this shop, you do all this shop, whatever.
Yeah, you do that impersonation really, really good.
John Voight, the way he looks in the film like an old 70s pimp. He does. Except he doesn't got no hat or no cape or nothing, but still, that mullet and that suit he got on.
Yeah, he does a really good job though, man. Like he is a believable, believable like partner in crime in this film. Like he's like, he just says everything like very kind of like subtly, and just like low voice. And he's great in this film.
Very, very matter of fact. And he's one of the few people that actually has Neil's back.
Yeah. And
loves him like a son almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to feel like I feel like, isn't there a character or isn't like in Thief, like wasn't there a character, was it like somebody he worked with that was
like a father figure to him or something like that?
Or maybe it was like Willie Nelson, right?
Willie Nelson or Jim Belushi, one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a good song. And then we go to our next one who, this guy is infamous, a blues rock titan, BB King. The Thrill Is Gone.
Yeah.
Amazing artist. And this is played in the scene where Hannah and the detectives are all kind of partying at the restaurant / bar and dancing and having a good time.
It's all a sharp contrast to the scene before that where Neil and his crew, they're having fun. They're all laughing with their wives and kids and whatnot. But Hannah right here, Hannah is so detached.
Yeah.
And then again, so is Neil. So is Neil in the previous scene, really, because he gets up and goes to call Edie because he feels lonely, even though he'll never admit that.
Yeah. So
I'm alone, but not lonely.
Yeah. And it's a great song, but it's almost like foreshadowing, right, of what's going to happen with Justine and Vincent, their relationship. So I mean, it's like The Thrill Is Gone. The title says it right there, I think.
We already got signs that there were red flags in the relationship anyway. I mean, when Vincent comes home and the first thing he wants to do is have a drink and not eat any of the dinner that she cooked. Yeah. It's like you who you are in the job is who you are as a person.
Yeah. And he's just, he says it too. He's like, all I am is what I'm going after. Right. So.
Right. And in his conversation with Macaulay, it's like, I don't know how to do nothing else. Neither do I.
Yeah.
Don't want to neither. Neither do I.
So it's like they're like flip sides of the coin, right? They're almost equivalent, but they're on different sides of the law. So that's what makes this film so great. But
the dichotomy, yeah.
And so we go to the next track here. It's again by Terje, I think that, or Rypdal.
Terje Rypdal, yeah.
Mystery Man. This is the second song you were talking about. When Edie and Neil are talking out on the balcony. It's an instrumental track. It's amazing. I mean, again, it's very kind of, it has a great vibe to it. It's hard to explain. It's got like these like kind of electronic beats in the background, and
it does.
And
yes.
Like, these like high guitar kind of tones, like almost like David Gilmour, like I was talking about.
It does. Yeah, it does. It's, what was I going to say? Is this part of the same scene where where the cops are thinking they're surveilling Neil and his crew, but the truth is it's the other way around?
Yeah.
Is it the same scene?
Like, no. It's you were thinking of like the previous song that we were talking about.
Okay.
Vincent Hanna's like on the it's before the detectives are partying at the club. It's when they're looking down at Vincent, or excuse me, at Neil McCauley and Chris Hurlis. They're all leaving the restaurant. They're on top of the roof. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Mystery Man. Yeah. Just shows how little the LAPD know about these guys. Really, they're setting up surveillance on Chris Hurlis's house. Hurlis never talks inside. Michael, he can find him and just get rid of them quick. And Neil, he's the most careful one of all. And Trejo, we don't know much about him.
Yeah, and like they can all beat the surveillance. They know how to, if they think their car is bugged, they can just
get rid of it.
Get out of
get it out of the range of the search or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's it called? Remember when what's it called? When Hannah was watching Macaulay, he's like, I had coffee with Macaulay a half hour ago, and we were on you. Then he drove his car under an underpass where LAX flight patterns can't detect. The car's still there, but he's not.
Yeah, exactly. So
these dudes are smart. They're smart.
Yeah, they are. And so I think the title fits really well. With the scene. We go to our next track, Moby, New Dawn Fades, which is one of my top tracks.
This is the one I was talking about. The one that has the guitar that sounds like Pink David Gilmour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When they're all surveilling Neil from the helicopter to him driving his car, and he has another tail behind him, which turns out to be Hannah.
And yeah. So why do you think it sounds like Pink Floyd? Is it just like the guitars, or?
Yeah, the guitar. Like,
yeah. It's actually a cover of Joy Division. So, if you've ever heard of that band, it's
yeah. They eventually became New Order. I know who they are.
Yeah. So the Moby does a great job of covering this song, and the guitars are just like cranked.
Yeah, they
are. Solo is nasty. And it fits for the scene because you have these two titans meeting for the first time, but it's like a very odd meeting, right? Like he's like, he meets them essentially from like a helicopter surveillance. You see a revolving tail on Macaulay's car and he's on the 110. So he just he tells the guy to drop him off on the interchange. He hops into the car and speeding, to go catch up with him.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And he's like, hey, you want a cup of coffee? Let's get a cup of coffee, right?
Fuck it. Yeah, sure. Follow me. And then that's where the best scene in the film begins. Like, holy shit. You're just looking at them like, good God, Titans. More than just the main two characters, the actors behind them. It's like, good God, who's better?
Yeah.
And I think they were playing off each other, that scene, a little bit. I think it was more than just scripted.
Yeah, it was amazing, man. I just love how I love that helicopter scene, the cinematography where you see the skyline, the LA skyline, and they're going between buildings, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and you see a little bit of that in Miami Vice too, with some of those shots where they're in the helicopter, and
they do those aerial shots where they make the city or the landscape, the cinematography. They make that part of the storyline as much as the characters are.
Yeah, and they and you see it in Collateral too. There's a lot of those shots as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a really good song, one of my favorites. And then we go to our next track here, and that is one I really didn't know about. I had to look this one up. This was Steve Roach and the Solitaire. It's called Black Cloud.
Was it actually on the soundtrack or just in the film?
No, it was just in the film. There are a lot of songs that aren't actually on the official soundtrack, maybe due to like royalties or licensing or some sort of issue there, but it's called Black Cloud, and the song is played before the bank heist. It's when they're eating breakfast at that diner,
and Neil's about to he's about to bang,
he's about to smash the phone on the
hold up, I got an idea.
Because Trejo finds out that he is
he's being tailed, but that's not the case. He's not being tailed. Waingro had his wife.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like it wasn't that. He was just kind of I guess being playing along with trying to trying to get rid of Neil and his crew, right? Because Van Zant, who wanted revenge, and there's that whole other backstory. I mean, there's so many different stories in this movie. It's so crazy.
There are, but it's cohesive, yeah. And this scene right here, we finally get to see how this plays into the main story, because Donald Breeden, a black ex-con released from prison, he takes a job as part of his parole as a short order cook at a restaurant, but gets treated like shit the whole time. So it's like, how does this fit into the main story? And then we finally see they knew him, Neil and them knew the guy in prison.
Dennis Haysbert, he's the one who plays
the Allstate guy.
Yeah, he plays Breeden. And he's an amazing actor too. He does a phenomenal job. He's been in some other movies like Breach. I don't know if you've seen that one with Ryan Phillippe, who it's about the Robert Hansen spy. He was the spy for the Russians, and he was like an FBI agent. That's a really good movie. Check that out if you ever get the chance.
Oh, I will. The only other film besides Heat where I've actually seen him in was another film that came out this same year, Waiting to Exhale, the Whitney Houston joint. Yeah, where he played a husband who's willing to cheat and leave his sick daughter for Whitney Houston.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, yeah, Bobby Brown was in the film, he would have smacked the fuck out you too. But this scene's really I think it kind of shows like it's a bit of a social commentary on the prison system.
Yeah, really. I mean, it is.
You toss these guys out and expect them to be rehabilitated and reintegrate themselves into society, and society doesn't give them a chance.
Well, not only that too. I mean, like he's being extorted as a working man. He's like, if you remember, like when he interviewed for that job, he's like half or a quarter.
25 of take home pay goes to me.
Yeah, I mean that's extortion. I mean and he just does it because he knows he can get away with it. And he's like, if this other guy complains, I'll just go back to his probation officer and tell him that he was like, being a jerk on the job, or
I'll write you up. I'll send you back out of here. If you do anything like that, I'll write you out of here. Ask your parole officer. He knows the deal.
Yeah.
So it's like this. They're all in a take.
Yeah, and it's like you can't win. I mean, it's like, how do you fix this? So it's a big issue. It's always been an issue for a while, and it's getting worse. I feel like with how many people are in prison.
I got to throw this in there too. The dialogue. Recognize the grill man?
Yeah.
No. Folsom. D Block. He housed with Dobie Rush.
Yeah.
I love that line. Now we introduce Donald Breeden.
Yeah, like the way De Niro just like has where he says things, his dialogue, his enunciation, like it's just really good. It's really good. And even when he goes up and meets him, he's like, "Hey, what's up, brother?" And you could just tell that these they act it so well. It's like you feel like these guys have known each other for like years.
Yeah, they have, and it's like they don't miss a beat. Just comes in the back, slaps him with that little scowl on his face.
Yeah, he's like, "What's up?
Neil! What's up, boy?"
Yeah,
and that's the first time we see Neil smile in the film too.
Yeah, and he just does it so well. But it's like that one split second too, where that's where this music comes in, and it's so like the black cloud, because it's like this foreshadowing of what's going to happen to Breeden. It's just one split second decision that changes his life forever.
Yeah, one answer, yes or no. And then as he's contemplating, you hear the music come on right at the same time. The eggs are burning on the skillet.
Like,
yeah. Fuck it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Be having 5.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like that.
Fuck this job.
Then he throws the restaurant owner on the ground. He's like,
where the hell you think you're going? Get the fuck out of my way. Like, good. Hopefully everybody else in there he's mistreated will quit too.
Yeah. And everybody in there was like, "Oh shit!" You can see like the expression on like all the other working faces. It was great. But goes into the next huge scene here. It's the bank heist, and we have Brian Eno who does this song. It's called Force Marker. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a straight instrumental track, but it's great. I mean, it just like builds up that tension. It's percussions, and
all throughout the bank heist. All when they first enter the building. Yeah. Oh man, that's this whole scene. You really, in a perverse way, you kind of almost hope they get away with it, but they won't, and something's about to go down.
Yeah. So like it just builds up the tension, and they really do a good job with the realism, like making sure that you know, they practiced this and rehearsed this, like, and I even heard that they went in and actually went into an actual bank and like did this for real, not like not the robbery, but like they walked through like a real bank and acted the way they were going to act in the scene, and nobody knew that they were even there.
It's enforced method acting, and De Niro, he's a practitioner of that. And what I was going to say was this scene right here, the whole bank robbery and the escape scene, Andrew, what's it called? When you mentioned that these guys practice with ATF guys and FBI guys and learning how to shoot, yeah, there's a scene in here where Val Kilmer's character, he fires his gun, then ducks down, changes the clip, reload, and fires it right back. And the military guys are like, the behind the scenes in the Blu-ray for Heat, a military guy was like, that's what I use when I train guys in order to use firearms. I'm like, you see that guy? You see Val Kilmer right there? You see that? If you can't change your clip and fire your gun as fast as that actor, you don't need to be here.
Yeah, that's how well trained they were. And it's an intense scene. And what's crazy about this is like the force marker song will play all the way up to when you know, Val Hurlis walks out to the car. He's got that smile on his face. And then he sees the detectives like right across the street waiting for him, and it goes from a smile to like seriousness in like half of a second. I mean,
that's bad editing. That's bad editing because he should have already been in that car. He should have, yeah. If you look at the scene, it's like, it don't take nobody that fucking long to get to the car.
But yeah, he's like, you know, Michael Mann likes to stage things, and you know, like, you know, it just worked perfectly. You know, right when he's about to get in, he sees the police officer, and everybody's there. You know, and you know, in real life, probably that would, you know, the police wouldn't get there perfectly.
No, not. They wouldn't be there ahead of time like that. No. And what's it called? You see how they're all smiles before that. Breeden's the getaway driver. Chiritos gets in the car.
Yeah. Then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And then one of the most famous shootouts, you know, happens. Yeah, they said that was based off. Actually, I was watching the behind the scenes for that. For that movie, there was the DVD had behind the scenes, and this was actually based on like a real ambush that happened to SAS, where they were ambushed in like Northern Ireland.
Oh, really?
Like Irish provos and the SAS team was in the car. I believe it was like Mick Gould probably, or like Andy McNabb, who they're all like SAS technical advisors.
Yeah.
And they were ambushed, and what they did is they were just hauled ass, you know, down the street and shot through the windows. You know, like you see in this bank heist scene.
They shoot through the windows, yeah. And Breed ends up getting shot in the head.
And they just got out, and it was like, you know, they assaulted the ambush and covered each other, and that's exactly what you see in that scene.
They're best as they can, yeah. It's like, what's it called? Chris, he gets shot, and what's it called? And Macaulay has to haul him into a supermarket parking lot and steal like a station wagon to get out of there.
Yeah, it's like a Ford like Taurus station wagon or whatever.
I'm like, you left all the ladies' groceries up in there too.
Yeah, exactly. So that was pretty crazy, but and then I love that one scene too outside the supermarket where like the police officer, like one of like Hannah's officers, gets hit, and he you know, he's checking him, but he gets like really pissed, and he pops his like rifle up and takes a couple shots back at Macaulay.
Oh yeah. Hannah's a father to his men, really. What's it called? You harm one of them, you harm me. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, it was amazing scene, amazing job by Brian Eno with the score.
It's one of the most tense scenes I've ever witnessed. One of the best action scenes too.
Yeah. Then we have our next track here. That's by Elliot Goldenthal, who did a bunch of songs on this soundtrack. You know, all of them we obviously, for the sake of time, can't go through, but this one I wanted to cover because it is used in other Michael Mann movies. It was used, I believe, it was used in Collateral as well.
He tends to rehash a lot of his old movie scores and soundtracks. He tends to rehash them. I guess if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah, exactly. If it works, I mean,
and you don't gotta pay nobody, some new dude, some new musician for soundtrack money neither. Where you can just reuse an old one.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was a good one. It's played after Chris has the bullet. You know, it's being removed by Jeremy Piven in that like in that medical facility or whatever. I guess he's like who knows who he is. He's probably
like an underworld criminal doctor or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, Nick, or excuse me, Chris is like, he's in pain, obviously getting a bullet removed.
Oh yeah.
And then this, you have the keyboards and the synths in the background. They definitely add to the intensity of the scene. And it's straight up business with Neil McCauley. He's like, he's talking to Jeremy Piven. He's like,
give me a shirt.
He's like, what's the bottom line? And he's like, well, he's got clavicle damage or whatever, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, take your shirt off. He puts the money down. He's like, that my daughter gave this to me. He's like, I don't give a shit who gave it to you.
Take it off. Yeah, they the deleted scenes, they add more context of why he was asking for the shirt too. Like, yeah, he has what size are you? Yeah, take it off. Switch shirts pretty much, so they won't recognize me.
Yeah. Yeah, because it wouldn't look good if he was walking around with a
bloody shirt
and blood. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, then this next track, man, Eric Clapton. I didn't even know he had a song on here, but it's called Will Gaines. And it's an instrumental track.
Hold on. One second. The steel cello Lament. I mean, does it also extend to the scenes where where Charlene, she calls Alan Marciano to come get her, and the scene where Neil, where he enters Trejo's house to find out what happened to him? Was it extended to that?
I don't think so. I think that may be another Elliot Goldenthal track.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. It's like a very dramatic track, and
yeah, he
finds Trejo on the floor. And ends up having to put him out of his misery. But this one, Will Gaines, is like, I like this one a lot because it's like, it feels like very 90s, like the synths and the keyboards.
It's building.
Yeah, it's building. And then like you have these like kind of weird percussions, it sounds like he's just hitting, all these weird kind of like drums or like,
Mm-hmm.
And then this is when they like breach the door, right? Like they
Hugh Benny, the informant. Yeah.
Yeah. They use the shotgun to blow the hinges off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's intense, but it's very real. It feels like, this feels like this is a breach method that LAPD would use, or like, special forces or something.
It is. Yeah. It is one of those methods that they would use too. It's like, and even in the part where where Pacino takes down Hugh Benny himself and tosses him through a window.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you have Henry Rollins, who we forgot to mention, who's like, he was the lead singer of Black Flag, and he's in this movie just randomly, but I love it because he does such a good job. He plays like the Van Zant, hitman, bad guy,
but he's really an informant for the cops. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really an informant because obviously he's probably gonna get in trouble, or they got him somehow, but. Yeah, it's funny. He tries to throw Hannah through or throw him like to the side, and I was like, in real life, it's like he would toss Hannah like
a rag dog.
Yeah,
like a rag doll. Yeah,
yeah. Like Henry Rollins is just jacked. It would be not even like a question of who would win that, but.
I remember him. I remember Henry Rollins when he was in that Third Base video for Pop Goes the Weasel, where he played like a caricature of Vanilla Ice, and he got beat down by both members of Third Base, and he was taller than them.
Yeah, but in this movie, I think he did a good job, man. He was just and I just like it how Al Pacino he's like who told you? And he's like, who told you, mother? Who? He's like, you ratted Macaulay to us, And then Casals tries to hit him with the shotgun.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great scene, but can't believe that Eric Clapton was actually on the soundtrack. It's pretty.
That's another familiar. That's like three familiar names I've heard on here. Yeah, what's it called? Eric Clapton, House of Pain, and Brian Eno.
Yeah. And then, we have that Brian Eno again, Late Evening in Jersey. This is the next track. It's played when Charlene is introduced to Sergeant Drucker in the Venice safe house.
Oh, yeah, where Marciano basically tricked her into going there.
Yeah, because Marciano, he got picked up and pinched by the cops. That scene where he walks in, the great ass scene, you know, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you got a great ass.
Why do I have to get involved in this, bitch? Because she got a great ass, and you got your head all the way up.
He's like Jesus. He's like,
yeah, that was a genuine reaction. He's like, Jesus, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, because like apparently Michael Mann didn't tell Hank Azaria that like Al Pacino was going to do that, so he was like, whoa.
And Pacino was supposed to say big ass, but he says great ass.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But this is a great track because I think the synths like help build up the suspense. You don't know what Charlene's gonna do,
and they give more background to her as well. They're like, what's it called? You grew up in foster care, so did Chris. Do you want your son Dominic to grow up in foster care too? You better rat on your husband, lady.
Yeah, you don't want him. You don't want your son to end up in was it Gladiator Academies like Chino?
All them euphemisms they use for all the prisons, and they mentioned so many of them during the film.
Yeah. So
is Folsom as tough as they say it is? You looking to be a pornographer?
Yeah, I didn't actually know that was a euphemism for like what did he say, like Chino and Tracy? Was that what it was? Mm-hmm. So is that like a nickname for like different prisons in California or?
Yeah, Chino's in California. Yeah. There was a song I heard years ago where they shout out all the different prisons in the country. I'm like, why? Why are you shouting them out for?
Yeah,
a lot of them should be torn down.
Yeah, I didn't. So like, I mean, there's a lot of authenticity to the movie, the film, right? I mean, like there's things I didn't even know were like, you know, slang or like euphemisms for like another prison.
Oh, check this out. A side note, what's it called? In the earlier robbery, the armored car. You know what the Armored Protective Services was called? What it said on the side of the truck?
Oh, Gage. Yeah.
Gage Protective Services. Yeah, Kevin Gage, Waingro.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Like I saw that and I was like, I wonder if that's like
intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it was.
Probably. I believe everything a director does is intentional.
Yeah, me too. So like the next track is by William Orbit. It's called Last Lagoon. I really like this one. It's very surreal sounding. William Orbit is a ambient kind of electronic artist. This is played after Macaulay shows up at Edie's house, and Edie obviously knows that he was involved in this bank robbery
because of the news. Yeah, they got his face all plastered on the news. Him and all the other robbers. She's like, "This is you. You did this." That's the one thing I don't do. I don't sell medals.
Yeah, he's like, he says one line that I really like in that scene. He goes, "It rains, you get wet." You know, like, and I just like that for some reason. And he's drinking water too. So it's like. Like it rains, you get wet. And then she runs out of the house, and that's when you hear the song kind of build up.
She's running up the hill. Yeah, it's like, how could you do this to me?
Yeah, it just works perfectly. I don't even know what else to say other than that. Like the synths just work well, and there's like a little bit of guitar in there.
Yeah, it's like the kind of music you hear when you disbelieve something. Like it conflicts with your with what you thought you knew.
Yeah, and it's just very surreal. Like I feel like it's a very surreal scene and surreal sounding, the music, the vibe to it. So yep, that, and then he has another song here called The Mighty Limpopo. This is essentially when Charlene goes to the balcony and is in the safe house, and Chris shows up. So Drucker wants her to lure Chris, you know, into the safe house so that, you know, the LAPD can arrest him. And and then she gives like, it's all through the emotions too. Like there's no like,
they're bonded. He's like, she's the son. What did he say about her earlier? What's it called? My world begins and ends with her. It's like, meaning, you know her. She's your soulmate. So he can read her.
I think he said like the sun rises and sets with her.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like in the music here is just, it's perfect. It tells everything. Like it's almost like the music tells the story with their emotions, like their facial emotions. You know, it's like he does one thing, like he looks up at her, she looks like at him, like, but they don't say anything. but they're making these expressions like, it's like kind of like, hey, like, what's up? Like, are you good? Can I get you out of here? And she's like, no, like, and then she does that famous shot where she does like the little like hand swipe thing on the balcony. And she's like, no go, and then he knows to get out of there. And you never really find out what happens to them, but I assume that they get back together again.
If that is, they're not under intense police surveillance, because Chris, he's the only member of the crew that lived, so there's going to be a manhunt for him.
Yeah,
and so he's a Whitey Bulger type figure at this point, assuming the character is still alive.
Yeah,
and he got all that money too.
Yeah, he had all the money, so you don't know if he actually gets away or not. But a great scene, and then we go to the last one. Man, this is like the epic song by Moby, God moving over the face of the waters. And it's like,
even the jet engines of the planes were as much a part of this scene. The intensity of it, it's like he couldn't resist. Neil couldn't resist. He couldn't resist taking revenge on Waingro. You just had to go back to the hotel, wouldn't you, where the cops knew you would go.
Yeah.
And then what's it called? Edie, she's left in the car by herself with that money. It's like, lady, I hope you ran away. I hope they never saw you.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. The money was like, she probably had an opportunity to just kind of run.
I hope she
run. Like,
I hope she took it, because otherwise she's technically an accomplice.
Yeah. So, but an amazing scene. Hannah chases them down through the airport. They have kind of a little shootout there. And then eventually Hannah ends up killing Macaulay, but like, you don't know what's going to happen really, because you think
Macaulay got the drop on him.
Yeah, he was like, all right, I'm going to wait till the spotlights, the landing lights come on that are super bright. I'm going to come out and try to hit him. And then, Hannah being like, he sees the shadow, and that gives it away, where he's like,
he spuns around, he gets spun around, and plus the sound of the jet engines too, he just spuns around, just shoots Macaulay like 4 times.
Yeah. And then, they hold each other's hands at the end of it. I mean, it's just, it's very, very emotional scene, but
very, very emotional, because those two characters is like, it's almost like you're the only one I have a real connection with throughout the whole film, and yet we're on different sides of the law.
Yeah.
But he holds in something about, told you I was never going back.
Yeah. I told you I was never going back. And it's like very, I don't know. It's like it's very like celestial. It's like, it's epic. It's you just have to hear the song. It's like they have like, there's like pianos and orchestra in it, and
it's very atmospheric, very ethereal.
Yeah. So, but a great soundtrack, man. I enjoyed doing this. This is
a hell of a soundtrack, man. I mean, I've watched the movie more than I've actually gave the soundtrack a listen, but I may have to add this to my CD repertoire before the year ends,
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many songs that aren't even on the soundtrack as well that
there are
pick up on, but
there are. And now that on a past note, when we did the podcast on Blue Chips, right? Yeah, I may have to get the CD for that now, as well as the Blu-ray, because the Blu-ray came out this month.
Yeah. There's a lot of great music on that. Casino was another good one, where it's like, I felt like, we had to pick and choose which songs we were going to do. It's just too many.
It's like Goodfellas. We probably could never do Goodfellas, because there's more on there than there was in Casino.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll have to do another soundtrack soon. I was thinking maybe we do like Deadpool 2 or something, or maybe we do another movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Or what's it called? One of the TV shows, really, because they got plenty of songs on there. We got plenty to pick and choose from.
Yeah, exactly.
Or No Way Home, Spider-Man. They got plenty of songs in that one too. They even had a De La Soul song up in there.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool. And I'll have to stop into the 301 Colored Commentators podcast as well. We'll talk some music there potentially, and
we'll be glad. We'll be glad to have you. We'll be glad to have you. Yeah, we're gonna do our second episode in another few weeks. We're gonna be talking about The Godfather 1 and 2, Dave Chappelle's The Closer, and that what's it called show, Stars show, BMF, about the Black Mafia family in Detroit.
Okay, cool. That sounds awesome, man. Well, good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for doing this. Do you want to tell anybody or everybody what where your podcast can be found and kind of social media?
Yeah, look us up on Instagram and YouTube, the 301 Colored Commentators. Yeah. Me and my friend Anthony, we dissect pop culture left and right. Yeah, follow us on IG, 301 Colored Commentators, and subscribe on YouTube as well too, on the same name.
All right, man. Well, this was fun. We'll do it again, and thank you everybody for watching and listening. And we'll
yes,
see
thank you everybody. It's always fun. Later,
right.
Andrew.
See ya.
Peace.